This is logical Mgtow spot. Okay, today's topic is going to be maybe a little mixture of things, but let's start with why women act the way they do. Now, many of us men, even outside of Mgtow, have many theories and what have you, and ideas and whatnot. But why do they act the way they do in the sense of, like, say they're entitled to get certain things even from us men? Really, they logically are only entitled to get things for themselves, not from men. But yet when a man is with them, they think that they can use that same entitlement on where the guy is expected to give them things, get them things, no matter what the cost. Logically, they don't realize that the only entitlement they have is for themselves to get it. I mean, basically for the woman in general to get the thing on her own. That's the only entitlement they really have. They are not entitled. They're not entitled to expect the guy to get every little thing that she wants when she wants on her timeline. Yet many young men, even in the teenage, even when we were teenagers at a time, that we were taught various things like how to treat a woman and how to talk to a woman and all this other shit, right? But the basic fact is that one thing that not many of our parents, if any of our parents, have said that women are entitled to get what they want from us men, and we have to do the best we can to give it to them. That's one thing they left out. But yet we're essentially shown that by the way women act towards us, expecting us to give them things and get them things and do things for them, because of the particular levels of entitlement, and each woman has a different level. It's and you could say that the reason being is because if it's a first timer, if it's a first time uh, dating, for a woman, then it's not that high. But if it's not the first time, it's usually in the middle, then sometimes a little higher, right? But when it gets to this point, sometimes they act like they're better than they really are when they're not. Basic fact is that women are only entitled to get things for themselves. They're only entitled to do things as they get things for themselves. We men, logically, do not have to, and logically are not expected to, even if it is put on us emotionally. That we're expected to do many different things in the sense of spending money on a woman to get what she wants, to where she gets what she wants, whether it's any cost and an expense of any particular item or anything else for that matter. In fact, there was a video I heard on the Tom Likas show. Uh, the the guy would be dating this woman right here. I mean, in general, and like he was raised a certain way, like we all are, right? But he was raised a certain way, and yet he was able to afford things. But the one thing was is that even when the woman got what she wanted from him, She expected more. She was never happy. That's the other aspect of it. Women expect the fucking globe, as I've mentioned on my one of my other videos of logical Mgtow. They expect the fucking globe, the world. Women don't realize they need to level it down to reality, not to the points of outside reality. And yet, I know many women think will say that it's not outside reality. It's just what we know that we deserve or expect or that they're entitled to. Uh-uh. If you women want to get things, and you think we men are taught or trained into getting you these things, you have lost your fucking mind. You've lost the sense of reality. You're too into you, and when a woman is too into herself, that's another aspect to it. A woman that is too into herself, and basically that's another aspect of a one singular mind thought process, or one singular mind train of thought. She's not really thinking of you men, or us men essentially. She's only thinking of what she can get, how she can get it, and the way she can get it, and what the way she's expected to get it, and the way she's entitled to get shit. And yes, I know many Mgtow members have mentioned this in many different ways, but many things do need to be even mentioned again. Because sometimes, even with all the information that we Mgtow members give you, blue pilled simps, Manginas, white knights, of the real truth of women, and even Tom Likas himself knows this. He even has repeated a number of things that he's already gone through and mentioned many times. Even Tom Likas is considered a Mgtow essentially in his own right, and he may not realize it, or he may not consider him a Mgtow, but he's standing up for what he knows and what he believes, and that that in itself is a Mgtow. He doesn't and he hasn't really, even after the fourth divorce that he had. He doesn't he doesn't play the games that women want us men to play. Of course, nor do I. I used to, of course, when I was much younger. Every guy does that. Every guy goes into that game that women want us to play, or even expect us to play. There is an exception to the rule, as it's known, that where where women claim to be independent, yet even in today's day and age, they expect us to give them shit, especially in the base of alimony and child support. Um, Aside from the fact that children are not asked to be born, but at the same time, as I've mentioned on one of my other videos, is that and at times in some respect, it can depend upon the type of woman as well. At times, but not all the time. It varies at times. But and at times it plays along the same line to where too many abortions, where if the woman has too many abortions, then she will not be able to have another child, even if she has another quote unquote if you excuse the term, batch of eggs within her. Her body's not able to, wouldn't be able to handle it. They're by a recommendation, even by OBGYNs and various other medical professionals. Don't go into the aspect of having or even trying to have children. But women don't think of that now. They do that. They don't think of that. They just expect the guy to give them what they want when they want it, with the aspect of entitlements. And if a child comes into play, then in the sense of where she's expecting, or a child's about to grow in her, and then when she gets to the point of an abortion, she thinks that she'll be able to. That only goes only so far, and it doesn't go as far as many women think. It is more than a chronological fact that the body can only handle so much. Our bodies, as men, can only handle so much. But when it comes to giving birth, the female's body only can handle so much. They don't think of that though, because they're too busy on thinking what they can get from us men, what they can get from the base of their entitlements, even from us men, all on the same base, right? And how much of it and how far it will go, which with each man that they date or are in a relationship with. And if they don't get what they expect on their timeline or time clock, whatever, right? Then they act like complete idiots and little fucking children, and try it with the other batch of men that they think they can get away with things with, essentially, or try to get to where they can get shit. There's an exception though, and I can tell you, there's many mothers in the past year, starting with, of course, mine. Um, I can tell you, my mother, and I respect her for this too. She raised me, with the help of her sisters, uh, and her parents, my grandparents, essentially. Um, and she didn't expect a damn penny from my father at all. As Tom Likas, there's an exception to the rule. There's an exception to practically everything, essentially. Not everything exactly, but almost, if not to a certain limit. Um, My mother did the. I don't see where my mother screwed up. Yes, a child needs their father. Yes, my father wasn't around when I grew up, but he did do. He was allowed, well, really not really allowed, but he was. It was welcomed to where he was able to see me. He saw me when I was an infant. He saw me when I was 5, 6 years of age. He saw me when I was in my 20s. In fact, I went to Utah with him to see his side of the family, of my family, that is. But the women from the late 80s to the late and mid and late 90s, even to the millennium, they don't go that way. When when women say that they are independent, they're only independent to where they think they can get away with shit, to where we men have to give them shit, and yet they still consider themselves independent. That's not independence. If a man or any other person has to give another woman something to where they feel, even on the levels of entitlements, they're not really independent. They can claim that they're independent all they fucking want, all the way until they're blue in the face, all the way through their whole entire fucking lifespan, and making any excuses of why they say they're independent and how they figure that they're independent, and yet show a complete different opposite thing to what they say at times, even more than at times. So women are not really that independent. My mother was. Many mothers of my era, and many mothers of maybe an era before, were independent. If they got something from the man, fine. There was no high expectations of it then, way back when. Even with, although with a certain number of women, there might have been. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna pass judgment or nothing, or a negative assumption on it. But there might have been. I'm just saying many things are possible as well. We don't know until we're actually faced with it, until we actually see it, and even in face value. We can maybe make general assumptions and guesses and whatnot, even for the era, right? But really, we don't really know. We can also go to as far as say, well, if women are this way now, they might have been the same way then. Not always true. Not 100% true at all. Now, don't think I'm defending women. I'm not. But as an advocate, I have to. But on as Mgtow, I don't have, and I don't, because basically Mgtow is that of a philosophy for men to keep men from being done wrong, and yet I know many women will say, well, feminism's like that too for us women. Bull fucking shit. Feminism and the Me Too movement haven't done anything but try to target men, make men look bad, fucking completely to the point where they want men to die. Where women are more important than the opposite gender, and they think that God or Heavenly Father would agree with them. He would. He would not. Many women think that Heavenly Father would agree with them more than He agrees with us men. That's a very demented, closed minded, one track minded, and completely illogical judgment, a negative assumption, sinful thought process by you feminists and Me Tooers. And a number of you are simp blue pill mangina men expecting if you side with women, you'll be able to get all the things that women can give you, even in the sense of sexual promiscuity. You'll be waiting for a long time. Only when they feel it's necessary, which is hardly ever. You feminists following blue pill mangina type men that are supporting the feminists and Me Tooers of women are basically grasping at straws that are not going to be giving you any reward. You're not going to see a pot of gold at the end of the string or at the end of the straw. And that pot of gold is a naked woman offering herself to you to start with. Aside from the emotional, psychological aspects of respect and decency and whatnot else. You're still going to be bashed. You're still going to be talked down upon. You're still going to be fucking ridiculed. You're still going to be getting all sorts of negative, sinful shit from women. And along with that, they'll expect you to do shit for them because they feel entitled enough to get you, feminists, following men, and supportive men, to do that for them, to where they don't have to do it for themselves. That's another part of it. Women get to the points of entitlement so much so that they don't feel like they have to do it to get it for themselves and on their own. Regardless if they make the money or not, or enough, or even more so than us men at times, they still expect us men to get it for them and give it to them in the base of entitlements. And as I've said once before, once you're in a relationship, you can feel all entitled you want, ladies. Once you are in a marriage and you say your I do's, your entitlement goes out the damn door. It doesn't stay around like a spirit that connects themselves to you or to a person in general, and which has happened to many people. But ladies, you feminist Me Tooers, females as well, need to realize this too. Your entitlement can wreck things for you. Your base of entitlements and so-called bullshit independence, when it's really not independence, can ruin things for you, and basically it doesn't benefit you in any way. It doesn't support you in any way. It's just a sense of feeling, sense of emotion that we all have, not just you women. But of course, you women use it more than us men do. Guaranteed. I know that for a fact. We men are feeling entitled to get shit, but we don't go to the points of expecting you women like you expect us men to give and get and do things for and things to. There's a big wide margin on it. The basic fact is women expect shit like little fucking children. Like they're still 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, and 3, and at times 8 through 10 and 12, and even in their teens at times. But when they don't get what they expect on their time clock or on their timeline, they bitch, moan, rant, and rave, and turn to the points of spinster eventually. When they like for example when many 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds here have heard Tom Likas talk about women in the way he has, which is basically the truth of what he's been saying. They call him and try to tear him a new one. And the end result, he is not torn a new one. So basically, oh, that's my phone, by the way. So basically, those women wasted their time and breath. So another one is the aspect of this. The aspect is that we men, when we age gracefully. There's my phone again. And when women age, they age like milk. And in many ways, you can tell the way they react to various numbers of things, in the sense of being a spinster to start with. And yet, they have many women that have called the Tom Likas show to start with have even gone and thought they were defending young boys and young teenage men of what they're being taught, and they shouldn't be taught these things. They should be taught to respect women, to basically kiss the woman's ass, even with the levels of entitlement that women have and emulate to the points of expectations, especially. And only women should be entitled. Men should never be entitled. Women are the crown jewel in society. They're not the crown jewel in society. They never were. And I'm not saying men are the crown jewel either, though. But there's a level of decency. There's a level of respect. There's a level of reality. There's a large level of reality. There's a large level of compassion. There's a large level of many other things to it that that the uh, that the women negate. They ignore. But we men gradually acknowledge it, right? We acknowledge that same level of decency, respect, and what have you, and compassion and such like that. Women claim that they may claim that they do in the same way, but they don't, because all they're out after is getting what they feel they deserve, what they feel that they're entitled to, what they feel what they can get from us men, instead of getting the damn shit themselves. When the fact that the ERA, the 1970s feminist movement, allowed them to go out and get a job, make their own money, fucking be supportive of of their own and by themselves. Because eventually, the more they act this way, the like even with this particular pandemic that we're having, or the supposed pandemic, which is politically motivated, that I found out within this year of 2020, that women still go to the points of expecting us men to do shit, especially during this pandemic, for them, because of the aspect of entitlement. And we men aren't going with these idiot women. They just expect men to just fall into place and do shit for the woman. Mm-mm. We're not little robots to do whatever women expect us men to do and to give them. We're not little minions for women. We're not little fucking zombies for women. No matter how much entitlement they have, or think they have, or even voice that they have, and no matter how much of independence that they think that they have and claim that they have, even vocally, we men do not have to, and we're not really expected to give shit to women, even the women that we don't even know. When we date, we would basically, and we don't always have to. We don't have to. We're not expected to say, well, this is how much I'm going to spend on you. We could, but more often than not, the woman would go the other way, right? You know that. We Mgtow men know that because they expect us to spend practically every cent within our wallet on them, as if their time is money when it's not. That's another chronological thing that women want to put in place into our minds, that the time that we men spend with women means this: money. We men only allow women to spend time with us, but we do not go to the points of expectations of where the woman has to give us anything in the sense of the dollar bill. So therefore, we can easily go the same way, regardless of how much time the woman spends with us. We're not going to be going towards. We men don't have to, and we will never ever again go to the points of thinking, okay, if she's going to spend time with me, I have to buy her shit, or I have to do things for her, even in the sense of money. That sort of thing has been destroyed because of the way women have been acting thus far, even with the reinstallment of the feminist and Me Too movements, which basically, like I said many times before, the feminist and Me Too movements are not doing anything beneficial or positive for women anyway. Because many of the women turn out to be spinster, angry little fucking witches, essentially, basically, when really they're angry at themselves, but they won't admit that, but they want to turn that anger towards us men as if we're the problem, as if we are the cause of why they are the way they are, when it's not our fault. It's what the woman does for herself and within herself, and how she feels even within herself. That's the issue. It's never about what we men did or did not do or even refused to do for the woman. But women are not supportive emotionally and psychologically enough to even admit that or even to see that. They keep on ignoring it. But yet they still go to the points of expectations from us men. Expecting us men to do shit for them, to give them shit, to spend practically our whole entire income on them and not ourselves. As if what we want and what we want to do for ourselves and for ourselves and whatnot, and to give ourselves is way less important than what they expect us to give them and do for them. It's not. It's not that way. What it's our money, ladies. If we want to spend money on you, we'll only go so far. And yet I know you want us to go the extra mile on that one. Even in the marriage, we'll only go so far. Economically. And if women claim to be, it's even said that women are good at math. But yet they're really, 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 really not. That they're not the Einstein of math. Because if they were, then they would, even if they wanted to even emulate that they were when they're really not, as if they were the Einstein of math, then they would realize that and hopefully go to the points of where they don't go to the expectation of where men are expected to get them shit. They'd wake up to actual reality because even the wealthiest man will can only afford so much and is only willing to do so much and spend so much on a woman because the man deserves as much if not more, seeing that it's his money, regardless if he's wealthy or not. Even if he's living paycheck to paycheck, he still deserves more than the woman because it's his money. And yes, I know there's going to be a lot of arguments going. Well, if it's his money, then what we spend on you men, it's our money. We'll spend more money on us. Yeah, there's no issue there. But if you want to be in that way, but still go to the points of expectation and entitlements, then you're wasting your time, ladies. The basic fact is that you want us men to spend money on you women, but yet when it comes to certain things, you'll only spend so much anyways on us men. But yet you want us to spend more than you would spend on us men. You want us to spend more on you women than you would on us men, even when it comes to say birthday gifts or whatnot, right? So logically, ladies, feminist, Me Too bitches, we can easily go to the points of how much you spend on us in the sense of say gifts for birthdays, Christmas, we'll spend on you. We could easily even reach to that amount, even ever so gradual. But it doesn't go to the points to where we'll forget that shit and spend even more than what you spend on us. It ain't gonna do that. We would not go that far. No fucking way. I know you would try to sway us to not really remember that, and even if you saw a piece of paper as a reminder to us, you'd throw that away, where you would expect it for us to forget that shit. Yes, you women as well as us men do forget things at times, yes. But that's to be expected. We're all human beings. But if you use that method of throwing away our reminder, whatever it may be, It could be a reminder to go to the store. It could be a reminder in addition to to do laundry, to pay our bills at a certain point. In addition to what we spent on you, as a reminder, only to spend on or as a we can easily say, okay, well, she spent this much on me, so I'm going to spend the same amount on her. Then you throw that away because even though it'll have our other responsibility type of reminders of to do laundry, to go to the store, to pay the bills, whatever the hell else, or to pay the car payments or mortgage of our own house, or pay the rent of our own apartment. In addition to what are the other reminder maybe that you see that you're only focused upon, well, ladies, that you just automatically crumble it up and right in trash. The one thing, though, man, we can make copies of those same reminders and put them into where women do not expect. And if they say, "Well, do you have any copies of this?" And I know that's one thing they'll say. They'll ask, "Do you have any copies of this? And why do you need this anyway?" I'm like, "Well, gee, look at what else is on there. I need to pay the rent on this point, or the mortgage on this point. I have to pay the bills or car payments on this point. I have to go to the groceries and spend this much on laundry on these points." But okay, but do you have any do you have copies of this? And why do you need a reminder of how much I spent on you? There's a thing right there. They'll expect you to answer even that. Don't. Even if you do, they'll crumble it up and tell you to give you the other copies to where you will do the same thing. Where they will do the same thing. And they will expect you to do the same thing by throwing it away. Just so they can manipulate you even more. That's the way women are on that aspect. They'll go to the points that they feel so important and so entitled that they'll expect you to do things uh, as if they have you under their finger, under their control, under their mind manipulative actions and vocalizations and such. Just say, for example, if I have, and I'm not going to say I do, if I have a reminder or even copies of the reminders that I mentioned, there's no way in hell I'm going to say yes, I have copies of it. I'm just going to have her think that I don't. And even if I did, I wouldn't say exactly where I have them or even where I put them. And then the next thing you'll say, let me see your phone. Let me see if the same reminders on there. Let me see your computers. Let me see if you have any copies on that. If you emailed yourself that. The women have actually also done to. Well, I'm wearing similar attire again. Anyway, that women have gone to the points even of destroying things that doesn't belong to them. Of like, why do you need this to entertain you? I aren't I enough? Why do you need a video game system to entertain you? Why do you need a little game console to entertain you? Aren't I enough? Gee, woman, When you're not around, what the fuck do you expect me to do? Sit around and jerk off or something? Sit around and expect you to come over even when you're with family on a holiday or something? Or while you're on a vacation with your family members or something, right? You expect me to just sit around and do practically jack shit? I have a right to play video games if I want to. I have a right to watch movies of various sorts if I want to. I have a right to play my Game Boy or any other video game console, even those little battery operated deals, right? Of little games like football games and anything. Oh, maybe I should move in then. Never allow that. Mm-mm. Because once they get into that point, they'll revamp everything into their liking, even if, and they will expect you to be okay with it. They'll expect you to do way more than they do, even when you get off of work. And when they cheat on you, they'll more often than not use the same bed that they sleep on with you with another dude. If they go behind your back while you're working or while you're doing any other thing in your roof that you are paying rent for and have paid rent for even before you allowed them to move in. Never allow a woman to move in because they'll even try to take over that. They'll even try to go as far as setting the rules for you, but they can do whatever the fuck they want. They'll treat you like they would treat a child, but they can be happy go lucky anytime they want. But yet at the same time they'll say, well, here's the new rules. And they'll list them all, right? We have to do this on these particular ways and times and days of the weeks and what have you. And then before you know it, you will find that you're mostly doing it, but she's not. And then when she's not happy, aside from the cheating, then she thinks that she'd be able to, in order for her to keep the place, even though you're the one that's paying most of the rent, or even most of the mortgage essentially, or the mortgage in general, she'll come up with a fucking devious bullshit accusation, or the cops are involved, saying that you did something that you didn't do to her. And more than 9 times out of 10, the cops will believe her over you. Therefore, you're cuffed and taken away. Therefore, she's happy-go-lucky. She'll be able to do anything and everything while you're in jail or prison. And yet she expects you to pay the rent and bills and everything else while you're in prison. How can you do that? There's no fucking way. She'd be just sitting pretty while you're in prison or jail after her false bullshit accusation. Sinful accusation against you, men, and she thinks that while you're in prison or while you're in jail, you're still able to pay the rent. You'll still be able to pay the bills, and then suddenly lights go off while you're in prison or jail because of her false bullshit accusation and whatnot. Or she'll go, or if she has, even there are many women that'll go, well, I need you to give me the money and give me a permission to get into your account to where I can pay the bills and rent, and you'd be like, why? Why? You made a false accusation, sinful accusation to what put me in here. You'd say. You could easily say, well, that doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does. You want the bills to be paid. You want the rent to be paid. You shouldn't have done what you did by making false accusations and bullshit like that, just so you can have the place to yourself and be all happy go lucky and fuck around behind my back. You can tell her that straight out. She may not like it. Well, that doesn't matter still, but I still need you to do this. Nope. The basic fact is you'd be able to have one of your family members or friends come over to the place, pack up your shit for you while you're in prison, and put it in storage or at your parents' place or at one of your friends' place, and then when you're out, then you'd be able to live with your other friends or family members and find another place, but not deal with that bitch anymore. Yet she'd try to reconnect with you in any way, shape, or form, and she'd expect you to pay the rent. When basically all you would have to do is write a note for your friend to give to the management of the place that she had you arrested in and taken out. There are times where even before you even go into prison or jail, that they'll mm, put you in question. Did you really do this? Did you really do what she said? Did you? And you'd be like saying no. She made the false accusation. Therefore, she should be the one in trouble, not you. And a time and very, it's not that likely. Sadly enough, it's not that likely that they would take that and actually see that and actually go and act on it. But the next thing they would say, well, is there any other place you could stay for a while? Well, you should ask her the same shit. Because that, and you could say that's my place, not hers. Well, she's living. How long has she been living there? Does it matter? It doesn't really matter. It shouldn't really matter because you could say I'm the one that's paying the rent, being that you're the one that's paying the rent. She's not. I'm the one that's paying the brunt of the bills. She's not. I'm the one that's paying the brunt of the groceries and gas and insurance. She's not. Where's the fairness now? You know what I mean? That's my phone, by the way. Um. So basically, women will go to the extent of that and beyond at times, even more than at times, and claim that they're independent. claim that they're self-assured when really they've gone as far as doing a man in because they think and feel that they can get away with it. They're entitled enough to do so, and they think there's nothing wrong with doing that. When there is a deep spiritual, wrong, sinful aspect of that. When they know it's not true, but yet they act on it anyway. Thereby they're judged even while they're on this planet. Even after they're done, after their time is done on this planet, they'll be judged for it. That's one of many things that you women don't even realize. You can repent all you want, but you're still gonna be judged for it. Even if you don't feel like you need to repent, you're still gonna be judged for it. Even with the fact of Heavenly Father being forgiven, even if you don't repent, you're still gonna be judged for that particular sinful action and sinful lying accusation. So, ladies, you need to really re-examine your actions, and you got to realize you're not as entitled as you think you are, even if you voice it. You women want to be respected. You women want to be heard. You women want to be loved, liked, considered, with various levels of consideration that you logically deserve, even if you think you deserve more than whatever level it may be, even voiced. There's many things that we men have to do in order to get certain levels of respect and consideration, and thereby we have to work towards it. We have to go to basically build up towards it. You women have to do the same thing. It's not just easily given to you as much as you think it is, and and as much as you think it should be. You think you don't have to work that hard? You're wrong, ladies. You are wrong. You think you should just get it and no question, no ifs, ands, or buts, the whole enchilada like that? Doesn't work that way in reality. Never has, never will, regardless of gender. So, in all aspects, Mgtow men do not, and future and soon to be Mgtow men do not allow a woman to move in with you. Do not allow a woman to tell you what you should and should not do. Do not allow a woman to even lay hands on your property, be that a video game console or anything else for that matter. Because they'll do, out of anger and frustration, they'll wreck it, and where you'll have to buy more, and she'll expect you to buy her shit before you buy yourself shit. Even if you feel that you need to get a whole new TV because of her rage. Thereby, guess what though? The reason I say you is because even if she destroyed something of yours, she'll deny the fact that she has to give you money for it. You can go to the police of suing her ass, but more often than not, knowing the way daddy government is, especially, that they'll side with her. You let her in your house, so you have to take you have to take responsibility and consequences. That's the way it is. The daddy government has been so simpish, so simp like to the female. It's more than absurdum. It's more than ridiculous. It's more than illogical. It's more than to the points of levels of non-reality, non-realistic. And yet we men are essentially, even the new generation of men are trained to accept it the way things are, and the way things they are being trained the way things have been when things haven't really been the way they are now. It just built up to that. Where it only favors the woman mostly and shields the woman mostly than it does us men. The only time it shields us men is when it comes to our rights for ourselves against other aspects, legal and not legal. But when it comes to the woman, forget it. But there are times where we will be the victor, even against women. I know it does seem seldomly and almost like a rarity, but there are times where it will be turning out to where we are the victor over even women. But women have tried to get it to where they're always the victor, regardless of even if they're in the wrong, and even if they do know that they're in the wrong. Just like little children do it, and more often than not. When children know they did, when we teach our children various things that are both wrong, right, and accepted and such like that, right, they go toward more often than not. They go into situations that they know that they're in the wrong, but they want people to side with them, even with the fact that they know that they're in the wrong. Women are not different on that aspect, and they're not different in that scenario, in that same scenario. Many people can say we men aren't different, but guess what? Though many of us men, even mature men, don't go to that aspect because we know better logically, and yet there are men that are still learning. But eventually, they don't reach that aspect as much as women do, and that's the truth. And women don't like will not like me saying that because they'll deny it without a doubt, without question, because they know it's true, but they don't want men to know. They don't want even young men to know. Tough shit, ladies. We men are just, if not more so than important than women are. Women are important, but they're going to the extreme of being of trying to be way more important than us men, which goes to the base of absurdum and illogical levels and unrealistic levels, and yet they don't see it that way, obviously. We could say, well, hopefully soon they will, but that day may or may not even come. We cannot just automatically say it will, when more often than not it might not come. And we could easily say that it should have stayed the way it was for women, and even if they tried to fight back, they would lose. For a time, that's the way it was. Many women have fought back. They were denied left and right, up and down, every which way. But then things got more complex. Then it's where women were able to be where they were able to go through the whole thing and to where they're ranting and raving and whatnot went right through, because obviously the governments and society was sick and tired of hearing their little babyish shit. That's the reason for the current feminism, and that's the reason for the current Me Too movement, because society is getting sick and tired of their little childish actions and vocalizations, and acting like they're not being heard when really they are being heard, but yet they're not being heard enough, according to many women. That men are being heard way more so than women, obviously. In actuality, we men, ladies, are not being heard as much as you think. We men are not being heard as much as you may assume or even calculate in your little head here. So, logically, ladies, regardless of what's being played out in front of you, ladies, is not always the case. We get denied just as much as you have in the past, as you women have in the past. So basically, you can call it an even scale, or an even scale, not this way or this way, but an even scale. You ladies don't want to focus on that, do you? You're gonna have to, because it ain't gonna change. Learn some are tired. Anyway, so I can tell you what I said exactly is the way women have, and why each woman has her own reason. Each woman has her own illogical levels and illogical, non-realistic reasons. They can say the same thing about us, but guess what, though? We men know what's right, what's not, what's realistic, and what's sensible and what's not, what's allowed and what's not. And yet, even sometimes we'll go even towards the things that are not allowed, but yet we eventually get it, right? But not all the time. Women want to be shown and treated the same way as us men. That's why they want to claim that they're acting like us men. They don't know how to act like us men, and also portraying the gender that they are not. You can easily say that they're not being themselves. They're not being who they can be in a positive level without any illogical, sinful actions and statements and judgments of their own, even against us men. If they feel that they need to go to the points of acting like us men in order to get shit, in order to be heard, they're not really being true to themselves. To the points of trying to be heard, ladies, you don't have to go that way, even if you feel the need to, or even if you feel that that that's the only way to actually be heard, even by society itself. Because I can tell you right now, as I've said before, as I said earlier, actually, that we men are not always heard, even by society. As much as it may seem that we are heard more than you women, we are respected more than you women. Not always the case. Even before the reinstallment of the feminist movement, it was not always the case. Even before the installment of the Mgtow movement, along with the current feminist movement, it wasn't always the case. Where we were heard more than you women, we were respected and considered more than you women. It was not always the case. Because even with us men alone, as even as in gender in the full entirety of the population, we were always not always heard as much as it may seem to you women. So you women cannot go to the ones who are, well, men are heard more than us women are. Men are respected and considered and given things more than us women. That's not always the case. That's not it hasn't always been that way at all. Even if it does play out that way in front of you and around you, do note even when women are not around, it doesn't always play that way. Even as much as it may capitulate to be, even if it may even sound like it or seem like even as you're doing your own thing, ladies. Because there are times where even when we don't get shit, you women get shit to a certain extent, of course, as well as we get certain things to a certain extent as well. Sometimes I know to women it does seem like we're getting the extent is even higher for us men than it is the woman or the women essentially. Even if it is so for that point in time and general scenario, that's the way things play out. There are many things that play out even for right in front of young men where women get what they want more than the young men or young men essentially. So women have no case against us men even on that. This is logical Mgtow spot. Live long and prosper, Mgtow brothers and soon to be Mgtow brothers and future Mgtow brothers. Stay safe, stay strong, stay free from feminism and feminist and Me Too manipulation. Stay free from that. Stay self-confident, self-assured, and believe in yourself always. And stay alive. Stay Mgtow or even become Mgtow. Mgtow for life, brothers. Have a good day.